Hello, I got a few things to test here. Bear with me. Let's see. Hello, I got a few things to test here. Bear with me. I think I got it. Let's see. Hello, I got a few things to test here. Bear with me. It's good. It's good. I've figured out the technology. I got it. Let's see. I think I got the technology working. All right. Let's see how this goes. It's so much pressure to get on and talk about things like a live market update in our Houston real estate market, because I think depending on who you talk to, everyone's opinion is totally different. We know what the reports from HAR, that's the Houston Association of Realtors, are. We share that monthly on our Instagram and on our Facebook, and it has some brief overview of stats. But, you know, I was at a crawfish boil this weekend, and I was talking to someone, and it reminded me that what consumers, what you people hear about our market is always different. And everybody's interpretation of it means something different. So for some of you, you are in neighborhoods right now where you're seeing signs not even hit the ground. A house goes on the market and you see a line of people outside waiting to get in. And then it quickly goes pending and it quickly sells. And so your opinion of our Houston real estate market is that homes are flying off the market. And that is absolutely true for a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of price points. But Houston is really, really big. And so I wanted to kind of deep dive into some things that buyers need to know and some things that sellers need to know in this market. And a little bit about my personal opinion about what's going on in the Houston real estate market. I actually get really frustrated when we as realtors say like, oh, it's a seller's market, because that's not always the case, right? And it seems to me that sometimes I find listings that are maybe a little bit more difficult to sell. Maybe it's their price point. Maybe it's something that makes them unique. And so I want to talk about those. So sellers, the number one question that sellers ask is, what can I sell my house for? At the end of the day, you can probably sell it for a little bit more than you did last year or the year before. Part of that is that our average sales price in the city keeps going up. Our average sales price, I think, is around $350,000. When I first got into real estate 10 years ago, I think that was closer to just over 200,000, maybe right at 200,000. So it's definitely cost of living, right? Prices are going up. Prices are going up in everything that we do. Prices of groceries, prices of lumber, prices of private education, right? Or colleges. All of those things are going up. So a little bit has to do with demand and supply and demand, but a lot of it is just that it's more expensive to live here in 2021. And by here, I mean Earth. It is just more expensive. So to be a seller is a great position to be at in Houston in a lot of ways. So I run a brokerage. We have about 25 agents, realtors, and staff. And I'll tell you, in our sales meeting, I am getting kind of a little bit of a hyper-local look at every market in Houston and the surrounding suburbs, because our agents are working in every market, right? So what I know about the market is that there are parts of Houston that if you list your home and it's priced well and it looks nice and you've done some prep work to get it online, and your real estate professional has taken professional photos and done a great job of marketing your home, then your home will absolutely fly off the market. You could have multiple offers. You could have a full price offer. You could get probably, pretty close to list price if you don't have multiple offers. And those homes seem to have a trend, right? The trend is a good amount of square footage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath kind of minimum, things that more consumers are looking for. So there's some things that consumers are okay with. Some consumers would be okay with a 2-bedroom home, but most of the time they're looking for that 3rd bedroom, especially because now we've all started working from home more often. Home offices have become, those are the hot criteria now. And I'll tell you, in the last 9 years of selling real estate, home offices were like, yeah, if it has it, cool. If it doesn't, okay. But those have really become super popular. The other huge change I've seen is I actually, when I'm running comparables for a property, I think that homes with pools since the pandemic are selling for so much more money than they ever have in Houston real estate. I think we all have a little PTSD of being trapped in our homes last spring and summer in Houston with nowhere to go and nothing to do and nothing to entertain kids. And so homes with pools, if you have a pool, you should absolutely list right now. The yards, outdoor space, people are gardening more than ever. I'm telling you, I live next to one of Houston's most popular plant shops, Buchanan's on 11th. And watching the transformation of business on Buchanan's from the beginning of the pandemic or pre-pandemic to now, if you drive by Buchanan's on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, they literally have like a crossing guard now. They have people wrapped around the block to get in and garden. That was not the case pre-pandemic. I think so many more people are spending time at home, improving their home. You'll see that it is really hard to get contractors right now. I had contractors, I think I had like 6 different people come out to my house to bid a project. And I had one person out of those 6 return a bid to me, actually. Like, still waiting for the other 5 bids, and it's been months, right? So contractors are super busy. And I think a lot of that has to do with how much we are so focused on improving our home environment after the pandemic. Things that were really important to us before, like traveling and trying out a new restaurant, may not be as important to us right now because we've become so used to having to entertain ourselves at home, which is good and bad. If you're like me, I'm a little bit ready to go to a restaurant and have somebody else cook food because I am not a big cook or a big gardener. So sellers, one of the biggest concerns sellers have is, what if I can't find somewhere to buy? Honestly, it depends on every unique situation. I spoke with 7 different sellers last week about listing their homes. And I would say that really only 2 out of those 7 are going to have a more difficult time finding what they're looking for. We talked to someone who was retiring and moving to a retirement community, and they had plenty of space available in this community for them. We talked to someone who's selling their vertical living home that has a very tiny, I wouldn't even call it a backyard. It have like a fenced in green space. They are just looking for another vertical living option. Vertical living is like the 3 and 4 story things that you see in Houston a lot. And those people were just looking for something that had a bigger backyard, but not still a huge backyard. School wasn't important to them. Or like zoning to a good school. Area was important to them. But if you look on the market for what they were looking for, they had plenty of options. So they have the opportunity to sell their home at a premium because we have such low inventory all the way around, and really buy kind of at a discount because of the price point and where they're moving to. There is not as much traffic. So yeah, the big question is, what do I do if I can't find somewhere to buy? I'm here to tell you that if you're a seller and you're in an absolute amazing situation to sell, where you're afraid that your home is going to sell the next day, then we also have the tools to negotiate that you have an extended closing, or you do a lease back from the new owners, to provide you a little bit of a buffer time-wise to find what you're trying to purchase. But my main focus of this is that it is super hyper local to what market you're selling in and what market you're buying in, if it's a good time to buy or good time to sell. If you are making like a lateral move across the board, and I'll just throw out an area and price point as an example. Tomball, 300,000, man, that is a tough market to be in. But if you were selling a home in that price range in that area, you would absolutely be in the driver's seat as a seller to kind of pass on to whichever buyer, because you'll get 20 offers, whichever buyer you're going to say, hey, I'll sell my house to you. I'll pick your top dollar offer, but I need a month lease back, and I need 45 days to close. And that's going to buy you some time to find what you need to purchase. I think a lot of times sellers have anxiety about, oh my God, what happens if all these buyers show up and want to buy my house tomorrow? If that's the case, then you are absolutely in the driver's seat to figure out a solution that works better for your family. I listed a house last week that had 9 offers on it, and it actually had renters in it. And the renter's lease wasn't up until August 31st. And we listed it. We didn't realize that it would be that crazy. We got 9 offers, and we just went back to 50% of the offers and said, sorry, we can't pick your offer because you need to close in 3 weeks to a month, and we can't do that because these renters are there. And so the way we structured what offer that we accepted really had to do with the timeline that the seller needed to wrap up their personal business. And we were in the driver's seat. We got to go back to 9 people and say, if you can meet this, this, and this criteria, if you can accept that the renters are going to be there until August 31st, then we'll go with your offer. And actually, that worked out really well for 3 of the buyers who wanted to purchase that home because they had leases, right? So they had a home to sell, or they had another reason that they didn't have to move in the next day. So really, all those sort of things can be worked through. Sellers' biggest fear is, what do I do if I'm homeless? But, my job and our job as realtors is really to figure out the solution to the problems that you're concerned about. Sellers, what kind of offers are people seeing on their homes? Like I said, depends on the market. I will never cast a wide net and say it's a seller's market, because it is absolutely not a seller's market for every seller in Houston. I feel like I've been gifted with difficult homes to sell over the years. I think that maybe that's my clientele. My clientele knows that just not everybody can sell their unique home, and that maybe it needs some extra attention. The benefit of those sellers that have a unique home, you back up to a train track, and a unique home also does not mean that something's wrong with it. You have a certain style, right? You're in a area where it's just big gated communities of brick homes, right? Let's say you have a 50-year-old home in a neighborhood or in an area where it's all new homes, and you're on an oversized lot, and it's a little bit harder to price and sell. That's my jam, right? Unique homes are my my thing because I'm a problem solver. And the great situation for people with unique homes that it is, if there was ever a time to sell, it's now, because we don't have enough inventory of cookie cutter or things that are just normal. So that way, if you have a unique home, you can kind of get a premium for your home right now because buyers have less options. And at the end of the day, overall, is it good to be a seller? Yes. Does it mean that you will have 20 people knocking at your door all over Houston? No. Does it mean that you don't have to do prep work to get your home listed for sale? No. Does it mean that you can take, crappy cell phone pictures and not do the correct marketing to get top dollar? Absolutely not. All those things are still important. Consumers are super sensitive to searching online. You have to understand that after this pandemic, the way we did real estate really changed. I would say on average, buyers are looking at less homes. They're narrowing down more from the comfort of their own home on the internet. So still putting your best face forward, still doing the prep work, even in a seller's market, is going to get sellers top dollar for their home. Okay, let's talk about buyers. I got a quick rate update from my friend Patrick Allen, and let me tell you what Patrick said. Right now, interest rates are in the high 2s to low 3s on 30-year loans, which is typically what we see more on average. 30-year loan, you can do those as low as 5%. I think they have certain loan products that are less than 5% for conventional loans. VA, FHA loans have a low down payment amount, and you could see rates in the high 2s to low 3s. Some consumers choose to do a 15-year loan and spend a little bit more on their monthly payment, but have that shorter loan term. You can actually get a better rate doing that. And those you're seeing in the low 2s to mid 2% on 15-year loans. Those rates are amazing, y'all. And what I think, I've had so many buyer consultations this year where buyers are like, I don't know if I want to compete. I don't know if I want to get my foot in this. I don't know that this is the right time to do it, because they are hearing like what a seller's market it is. But it really depends on what they're buying. I would say I've sold probably 15 to 20 buyers a home this year in 2021. And what I've found is that really only 3 to 5 of them are hit with multiple offers and things being really difficult. So the majority of people are finding homes without competing greatly. I would say 5 of my buyers this year out of almost 20 were actually hit super hard with the competition, making offers, having offers declined, and having to go really out of their comfort zone. So really, from a buyer standpoint, it depends on what you're buying. Rates are super low, and that gives you purchasing power. I think the example is like, we were expecting, if rates rose up to like 5%, that would essentially mean, and my lender friends who are watching this is going to be like, Jena, you can't just make up numbers. But I'm going off of some materials I've read in the past. So let's say if your rate was at 5% and you wanted to purchase a $350,000 home right now with today's rates, you actually would qualify for almost $75,000 less at rates at 5%. So instead of buying a $350,000 house this year, you'd buy a house for $275,000 at a 5% interest rate, and it would cost you the same amount. So with rates being low, you actually have a lot more purchasing power. A lot of people ask me about renting versus buying for a little while until the market cools down. The short answer to that is it's not going to cool down. not, so you could sign a year lease. You could sign it today. You could go out and sign a year lease. And in a year from now, based on all the materials that I'm seeing, we are still going to have an inventory problem a year from now, because the low inventory that we have had for the past 6 months, especially, it's going to take a really long time to get caught up. Buyers have pent up demand. They want to move. And it's going to take us a long time to get caught up. So what I hate about people wanting to rent right now versus buying, if they are qualified to buy, they have the ability to buy today. What I hate about them going to sign a lease is that I think at the end of their year lease, they're going to find that they're in the same position that they are right now, but with a higher interest rate, and they wasted money for a year paying someone else's equity down. So what I would rather see from a financial standpoint for my buyers is that they do the work now to get into a home, because rental prices are also at a premium. And I don't think that they're going to save any money by purchasing in a year, because we're still going to be recovering from the low inventory problems that we've had this year. And then rates will be higher. And so that puts you right back at square one with less money in your pocket, because you've paid somebody else's mortgage for a year, and you'll never see that again. And then also, because I don't think our problems are going to disappear suddenly in a year from now. I don't think there's going to be this magical amount of inventory that just shows up in a year's time. I think it's going to take a little bit longer to get caught up. Y'all, it's super easy to get a loan right now. And I say that with history of somebody who worked with buyers past 2008. And I am telling you, I have seen really cool loan products come out from all of the lenders that we work with that really work to buyers' needs. If it's a VA, if it's an FHA loan, if it's a conventional loan, there are products all within those that it's not a one size fits all. It's not what works for one person won't work for the other. There's programs to get people who are in the service industry, like police officers, fire people, even teachers, special loans. There's also doctor and attorney loans for people who are starting out in those fields. For example, I'm self-employed. I'm 100% commission based, and so is my husband. In the past, it's actually been really hard for us to get loans. And I am telling you, I have seen some really neat loan products be offered for us, even in the last couple of years. We just did a huge renovation to our home, and it was my first time doing a construction loan. So I already had a loan on the house. I refinanced it to a lower rate, and then included the cost of my construction on that loan, and did my whole renovation now at the lower interest rate. I think we were at 3%, because that's about when we refinanced in August of 2020. And so I think we refinanced our construction and our primary home loan at 3%, included all the construction costs. It was an amazing experience with First United Bank. I'll give them a shout out. And it was a really great experience. We had an online system where they just paid our contractor directly. The money never went through our hands. And now it's wrapped into our 30-year loan and became super affordable for us rather than spending our savings. Ease of getting a loan is just, it's a really good process right now. I think that a lot of lenders have neat programs where you upload all your bank statements and all your stuff very easy. And I'm the first one to tell you, if any lender that's worked with me ever on a home loan prior to the last 2 years will tell you that, like, I'm the worst at getting my paperwork in for my personal stuff. I will always take care of my clients first and do my personal things last. And And I'm telling you, the last couple of loans I've gotten in the last 2 years have just been really easy. Normally it's a 10-minute conversation with the lender. And even if you're not ready to buy like today, that's a great conversation to have with a lender, because you will get a game plan of when you could purchase and what things you need to do in order to purchase in the future. Y'all, it takes some grit, is what I'm saying for these buyers who are in areas that there are multiple offers and things are really tough. One of my buyers, who's a friend of mine from college, I think we made like 8 offers in Tomball in the $250,000 price range before we found the one. And I think she would tell you, she closes this week, I think she would tell you that like her heart was broken a few times on a few houses, and she was super defeated. I had to talk her off the ledge several times and say like, you have to move. Like, you have to have a place for you and your kids to live. And she stuck with it, and we found the perfect one. And honestly, I think that that house was 10 times better than some of the houses that the offers didn't work out on. So it takes some grit. It takes some perseverance to be a buyer in a area where you are seeing multiple offers. I'm on my 3rd or 4th offer for some family members right now. And it's not easy. We have to get in the car and like go see houses as soon as they list. I used to like block off 3 hours a day or 3 hours on a weekend to show you a bunch of houses. And that's not really how it works right now, because our inventory is so low. Why is our inventory low? This is my personal opinion on it, because I am obsessed with what the market's doing and why, and the why behind it. In my opinion, I think, especially in Houston, we have a ton of large corporations and mid-sized businesses that haven't made a plan to return to work yet, or they are doing some version of work from home. Some people don't like my opinion on this, some of my friends, because I think some of my friends have made decisions about housing because they think they're going to be working from home for the future. I think that as time goes on, more and more people will be back in the office. And I think that making short-term decisions about your housing without, thinking that you're going to be totally off going into work every day, or even some people are saying like, well, maybe I'll go once or twice a week. I think that will eventually run out. I think we'll all go back to office spaces on every day eventually, but that's my own personal opinion. Large corporations are starting to do the callbacks to work, and they're starting to say like, I want to see you here every day. I talked with a few people from Exxon last week, and they're telling us to do it, but I actually don't think that they have. One guy told me something interesting, that he didn't think that Exxon had enough office space to actually call everyone back to work. I don't know how true that is. And so they may end up calling everyone back and then saying like, nope, some of you go home again. But as these big corporations start calling people back to work, as people start having more confidence in the long term of where their business is going to be and where they're going to be doing work every day, I think that some of our inventory will start to loosen up. I think that a lot of people haven't been able to make decisions on listing their home. One, first and foremost, because they're scared about where they would move to. They don't know where they would move to, whether it be they're scared of, what if I can't find a home? Or they're scared because they don't know their job's permanent solution post-COVID. I think as these corporations start making those decisions and people start feeling confident in those decisions, we will see more and more inventory piling up. I'll tell you from a personal standpoint, I have a lot of buyers who are just sitting and waiting, and they have houses to sell, but they're kind of waiting for things that they may like to buy to start coming on the market. Well, I need their houses to go on the market to satisfy other people's wish lists that are sitting and waiting. So overall for Houston, I think it would be great if more people started listing their homes. Last week, I spoke to 7 new sellers, and that's kind of a lot for a week for me. And I was pumped. I was like, oh my God, the inventory is coming. We're going to be okay. And I think that, our spring and summer season are always pretty busy. But my fourth quarter of the year is always my busiest. So I don't think that, like, if you don't see a house listed that you like in May, right? We're almost done with May. In June, July, August, that doesn't mean that it won't come post summer. Our market, unlike a lot of the world, is not really driven by only spring and summer. That's because, like, in other climates, it snows, like, and like you're not out seeing houses in the fall and the winter. But with Houston's climate, we're showing houses on Christmas Eve still, and inventory is definitely coming. I think we're going to see a tick up in it as we lead into summer, and I think that really you have to sit down and talk with a real estate professional that you trust. If you're considering selling, if you're considering buying, you really need to talk with a real estate professional that works this every day. They're in it. They understand the market. They understand what's going on, because they're going to be able to best guide you and help you make decisions based on what is true for your situation. They can tell you what your house can sell for, what to expect in your neighborhood, right? Are homes in my neighborhood seeing crazy offers? Are they seeing multiple offers? How long is the average days on market in my neighborhood? What can I expect in terms of funds post-closing? Maybe they can do a seller's net sheet for you to kind of show you what your proceeds would look like post-closing at their estimated sales price. And buyers, I think that it's kind of scary when you turn on the news, when you're reading the national news about our real estate market. I don't think that it all applies to you. I think in Houston, what I'm seeing with buyers, every buyer that we're closing is super thrilled about the home that they're purchasing. And I haven't had one buyer sit at the closing table with me this year and say, like, oh, I just settled. That's not the case. People are finding what they want. They're excited about it. They're thrilled not to be paying rent, somebody else's equity, paying down their own equity. And they're thrilled about the rates and overall monthly payment, what that looks like for their monthly payment. So it takes a little bit of grit. It's a little bit chaos. If you know and love a real estate professional, please give us a hug. We're tired. We've been working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'll tell you, I was very candid with this gentleman that I was talking to at Crawfish Boil. He's like, oh God, you guys must be killing it. And I'll say from myself, my personal numbers aren't much different than last year, the year before, because we have so many people just kind of waiting, right? So we're doing a ton of work, right? I'm running a market analysis on houses every day. I'm scrambling to find new listings for buyers. I'm showing one house at a time versus 5 houses at a time. So I'm going out. If I have 10 buyers and I go out with each of them one time a day or one time every other day, it's a little bit mayhem, right? So we're working really hard, but we don't have enough inventory to see like this huge skyrocket in our business. So please don't picture us all on vacation in Mexico, just living our best life, because it is not that. We're working around the clock to try to find the inventory that our buyers need and to try to get our sellers the information that they need to get them the most amount of money. But if you are in the real estate market right now, if you are actively shopping, if you have your house listed, you're one of us. You get how crazy it is right now. And you're talking to your real estate professional and your lender and your title company, and they're all your therapists. We're all in it together. It's a great time to be in Houston. I'm super excited about what the future holds. I don't think that we're in a bubble. I don't think that there's I don't think that there's the super inflation of homes. I think that people are paying what they feel fair for properties in this market and post-pandemic, because we've all changed how we feel about our home. I never saw my home before the pandemic. I hadn't been there in like years. So home has become super important to all of us. And I think that we will just keep cruising through this. I hope this was helpful to someone. And I hope you guys have a really good day and find a real estate professional that can help you through this.